Princess Catherine collapses behind palace walls after King Charles privately reveals a secret so devastating it threatens to tear the royal family apart. What did he confess? And why did it leave the future queen in tears? This isn't just royal drama. It's a breaking point. The private meeting no one was supposed to know about. On the evening of August 17, 2025, Balmoral Castle became the stage for a moment the monarchy hoped would never surface. At 6:45 p.m., Princess Catherine's vehicle slipped quietly through the north entrance. No aides accompanied her. No press trailed the motorcade. The order had been clear. This was a private summons from King Charles III himself. Only the king, weakened by 11 months of illness, and Catherine would be present in the private library. The secrecy was immediate cause for suspicion. Charles rarely requested face-to-face meetings without at least one advisor or equerry present. Catherine, at 43 years old, had handled countless delicate briefings since becoming Princess of Wales in 2011, but this felt different. The Queen Consort was absent, reportedly staying at Sandringham. William, then attending engagements in Glasgow, was unaware of the meeting's content. It was, in every sense, a hidden royal moment. Inside Balmoral's oak-paneled library, Charles looked gaunt, his frame diminished from months of treatments he refused to disclose publicly. At 7:05 p.m., with the heavy door closed, he gestured for Catherine to sit. What followed was not a routine discussion of duties or succession planning. Instead, Catherine was confronted with a confession that would shake both her and the monarchy's foundations. Eyewitnesses later told aides they saw Catherine emerge at 7:50 p.m., pale, trembling, and visibly shaken. By the time she reached her private suite, she collapsed in tears. The carefully guarded walls of Balmoral had contained countless royal secrets before, but none like this. For in that quiet, undocumented meeting, Charles revealed not only the truth of his health, but also the shocking succession plan he had kept hidden. His words were devastating, a double blow that changed the monarchy's future in an instant. King Charles's final confession. Charles began with a truth he had buried for almost a year. At 7:10 p.m., he told Catherine he was suffering from a terminal form of pancreatic cancer, first diagnosed in September 2024. He had been secretly fighting the disease for 11 months, undergoing private treatments while concealing the severity from even his closest advisors. According to his doctors, he had less than 6 months to live. His reign would not end in abdication. It would end at death. Catherine, stunned but composed, braced herself for words of succession. She assumed Charles would confirm William's role as the natural heir, ensuring stability. But instead, the king revealed a hidden plan that left her reeling. He admitted that, for the last 3 years, he had been quietly grooming Prince Harry as an alternative monarch, a humanitarian king designed for the global stage. Charles confessed to holding discreet meetings with UN officials in New York in 2022 and with American political elites in Washington in 2023. These talks, he said, were about aligning the monarchy with international causes, climate change, migration, and global peace. Harry, with his foundation work and U.S. presence, had been at the center of those discussions. Charles painted him not as a spare, but as a global monarch for a modern age. For Catherine, the words cut deeper than the illness. She sat frozen as Charles explained that William was always expected to inherit, but Harry had been kept as the parallel option, someone who could take the crown if political storms, scandals, or public opinion turned against the Wales family. The implication was staggering. Charles had doubted William's path all along. Catherine left the library shattered. The physical toll of Charles's confession struck almost instantly, leading to one of the most alarming medical episodes within the royal family in recent memory. Catherine's collapse. At 8:05 p.m., just 15 minutes after leaving Charles, Catherine suffered a near syncope episode inside her private suite at Balmoral. Palace medical staff rushed to her side when she collapsed, her body unresponsive for nearly 40 minutes. An emergency health alert was quietly transmitted to Prince William, who was mid-flight from Glasgow and landed in Aberdeen just after 9 p.m. Sources confirm he was visibly shaken when informed of his wife's condition. The official palace statement the next morning, issued at 10:15 a.m. on August 18th, called it a moment of fatigue. But insiders quickly contradicted this. Those present during Catherine's recovery reported she was repeating the same phrase as she regained consciousness. "He's choosing Harry after everything." It was a haunting echo of Charles's confession, spoken through her tears and delirium. Medical experts consulted privately explained her collapse as a stress-induced fainting episode triggered by extreme emotional shock. At 43 years old, Catherine had endured years of media scrutiny, royal tension, and relentless public duties. But nothing compared to being told her husband's claim to the throne was in doubt. The human body, under such circumstances, reacts with sudden breakdown. Her collapse was not just a personal crisis, it was a constitutional alarm bell. For aides, it revealed the devastating toll Charles's words had inflicted, not just on the Princess of Wales, but on the monarchy itself. Catherine had long been the crown's emotional stabilizer. Seeing her physically break down sent ripples of panic through the palace walls. But Catherine's pain was not only personal. For her, Charles's betrayal carried a deeper weight. It was a direct wound to Princess Diana's legacy, and that realization became her breaking point. Diana's legacy betrayed. By August 18, 2025, as Catherine lay in recovery at Balmoral, her whispers echoed through the corridors. "He's choosing Harry after everything." For her, Charles's confession wasn't only a political bombshell, it was a betrayal of Princess Diana's legacy. Diana, who died in 1997 at only 36 years old, had always imagined her eldest son William as the rightful heir. To Catherine, stepping into Diana's shoes since her marriage in 2011, protecting that legacy was sacred. Catherine had shaped her entire role around continuity, placing George, Charlotte, and Louis at the center of a monarchy reborn. To hear Charles admit he had doubted William's destiny for over 3 years while grooming Harry in secret struck at the heart of her mission. To her, it wasn't just betrayal of William. It was an insult to Diana's vision, one she had devoted nearly 14 years of public service to uphold. The emotional toll was worsened by personal parallels. Both Diana and Catherine had been overshadowed by Charles's private agendas. In the 1980s and 1990s, Diana endured years of manipulation while Charles prioritized Camilla. Now, in 2025, Catherine faced the same wound, hearing that even after everything, Charles was still plotting an alternative path, undermining her family's rightful place. This sense of betrayal shattered her composure. Catherine reportedly confided to an aide that night, "He promised us the future. Now he's giving it away." For Catherine, Charles's confession felt like history repeating itself. Only this time, the wound cut deeper, because it wasn't just about her. It was about Diana, William, and the children she was determined to protect. But if Catherine's grief was quiet and internal, William's response was fiery. By the next morning, his fury at Balmoral was unmistakable. echoing through stone walls in a way aides hadn't heard since the darkest days of 1997. Prince William's reaction. Prince William arrived at Balmoral at 9:15 p.m. on August 17th, rushing straight from the airport to Catherine's side. After learning of Charles's confession, his anger exploded. Eyewitnesses confirmed shouting between father and son could be heard from the upper floors around 10 p.m. Rare public evidence of private fury. William's words were blunt, according to aides present. "There will be no Harry on the throne as long as I'm breathing." It was more than defiance. It was a vow. For William, aged 42, the line of succession wasn't just tradition. It was destiny, shaped by Elizabeth II's 70-year reign and Diana's sacrifice. He refused to allow a hidden plan to erase that. By August 19th, William began quietly consulting legal advisors. Barristers were reportedly flown to Balmoral from London within 12 hours to review the constitutional framework. Though the monarchy cannot legally alter succession without Parliament, William wanted assurances. No private influence or secret pact could sideline him. He was determined to block any loophole. His strategy didn't stop there. William reached out to Commonwealth allies in Canada and Australia on August 21st, reinforcing his role as heir in the eyes of international leaders. Simultaneously, aides whispered that he was exploring unprecedented public communication, a press conference, documentary, or even a speech directly addressing succession fears. For the first time in his life, William was preparing to confront his father not just privately, but publicly. Yet behind William's rage and Catherine's collapse was another disturbing revelation. Charles hadn't only dreamed of Harry as an alternative. He had been actively preparing him for years, funding, advising, and meeting in secret. Harry's hidden position. The most shocking part of Charles's confession wasn't only the illness or his doubts about William. It was the revelation that Harry had already been groomed as a parallel monarch. Documents leaked from palace archives on August 20th, 2025, revealed private transfers of funding from Charles to Harry's nonprofit empire dating back to 2021. These payments, totaling over £5 million, were categorized as special projects, but aligned closely with Harry's UN partnerships. Between 2022 and 2024, Charles and Harry reportedly attended 3 undisclosed meetings with UN representatives. The agenda: positioning Harry as a humanitarian leader with global influence. One session, held in New York in September 2022, even discussed creating a parallel monarchy model focused on diplomacy and international aid. To insiders, this was proof that Charles had invested real political capital in Harry's future. Camilla's involvement remains disputed. Some aides believe she supported the idea quietly, encouraging Harry's visibility in hopes of creating a softer legacy. Others insist she was kept in the dark, her loyalty placed elsewhere. But the fact remains, Harry was groomed in silence, while William and Catherine carried the visible weight of duty. Harry himself has remained silent since the revelations broke. Some see this as complicity, others as shock. Was he aware of Charles's plan all along? Or was he a pawn in a game larger than himself? Either way, his position has reignited fury across Britain. Parliamentarians have already raised concerns about constitutional interference. A monarchy built on birthright is now facing whispers of being reshaped in the shadows. But if Charles and Harry were aligned behind closed doors, one figure's role remains uncertain: Queen Camilla. Was she the silent bystander or the puppet master pulling strings behind this gamble? Camilla's role. In the hours following Catherine's collapse on August 17, 2025, Camilla's absence raised more questions than answers. At 8:30 a.m. on August 18th, she boarded a helicopter bound for her Wiltshire estate, leaving Balmoral behind. Some insiders claimed she was protecting her peace, while others saw her retreat as calculated. By the time William confronted Charles, Camilla was hundreds of miles away, out of sight, but not out of mind. Whispers spread quickly through the palace. Did Camilla know about Charles's confession? Insiders said she was aware of the king's illness, but not the full scope of his succession gambit. Yet, archived footage from 2023 and 2024 resurfaced online, showing her consistently pushing Harry into higher-profile roles, urging his inclusion at diplomatic receptions, praising his humanitarian work, and strategically referencing him in speeches. For some, this was subtle proof of her long-term support. For critics, it was betrayal layered upon betrayal. Camilla's history with Diana has always been controversial, and to now be linked, directly or indirectly, to sidelining William and Catherine stoked public anger. Was she shielding Charles's secret or orchestrating it? Either answer risked painting her as the most divisive queen consort since the monarchy's foundation centuries ago. What's undeniable is that Camilla's movements after Balmoral were scrutinized like never before. Her silence in the days following the revelation spoke volumes. The monarchy's inner fracture was no longer just about Charles and William. It was about whether Camilla had quietly chosen a side, and if that side was Harry's. But while Camilla withdrew, the palace itself erupted into action. Lawyers, advisors, and senior courtiers scrambled overnight, racing to contain the fallout before it shattered the monarchy completely. The palace in panic. By midnight on August 18th, Balmoral's atmosphere had turned into a war room. Senior barristers were flown in from London, arriving by private jet at Aberdeen Airport by 2:15 a.m. They were escorted straight to the castle to consult with Charles, William, and the Privy Council. Their task: review the constitutional framework and assess whether the king's private plans could legally influence succession. At 3 a.m., digital lockdowns were ordered. Palace servers were restricted, and internal emails connected to succession planning were purged. Aides reported that at least 200 sensitive documents were sealed, many relating to Charles's financial transfers to Harry's nonprofit empire since 2021. Senior courtiers, fearing exposure, resigned within 48 hours, 4 by name, 2 anonymously. Their departures underscored the moral fracture inside the palace itself. By dawn on August 19th, an emergency Privy Council meeting was scheduled for October 3, 2025. The king was expected to address succession rumors directly, a rare intervention not seen since the abdication crisis of 1936. For historians, the parallel was chilling. That event nearly destroyed the monarchy. Now, nearly 90 years later, another monarch's personal decision threatened to do the same. In hushed tones, aides acknowledged the panic. The monarchy had lost control of its own narrative. And once the public got a glimpse of Catherine's collapse, the crisis would no longer be contained behind castle walls. Their fears proved justified. Within 24 hours, leaked footage emerged, sparking a wave of anger, speculation, and backlash that no palace statement could silence. Public eruption. On August 19, 2025, grainy footage surfaced online showing Catherine being carried out of Balmoral by 2 staff members. Though blurry, her pale face and limp posture were unmistakable. The clip spread across TikTok, X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram, amassing over 5 million views in less than 12 hours. British tabloids exploded. The Times ran the headline, "Royal Betrayal, Catherine Collapses After King's Confession." The Daily Mail went further, calling it the greatest scandal since 1936. BBC and ITV demanded official statements, but Buckingham Palace refused to comment. The silence only fueled the speculation. Public backlash erupted across the country. By August 20th, pro-William rallies appeared in London, Manchester, and Cardiff. Crowds carried signs reading, #NotMyKing and Catherine deserves better. Hashtags Diana was right and protect. Charlotte trended worldwide. Polls showed 72% of Britons sided with William and Catherine, while Charles's approval dipped below 30%, the lowest for a monarch in modern history. For the monarchy, this was no longer a private succession debate. It was a public firestorm. Citizens were openly questioning the crown's legitimacy. Parliament was whispering about intervention, and the Commonwealth watched with unease. The monarchy stood exposed, fragile, fractured, and forced into the glare of its people. And while the public raged, the royal family itself fractured further. With Catherine retreating, William defiant, and Charles frail, the monarchy teetered on the edge of reinvention or collapse. What comes next? By August 22, 2025, Catherine had formally stepped back from duties. Doctors advised emotional rest for at least 3 months, keeping her away from public appearances until November 2025. William, meanwhile, drafted what insiders called a conditional support letter to his father, outlining terms for cooperation. It was, in essence, a threat. Unless Charles renounced his secret plan, William could separate himself and Catherine from the crown. The Queen Consort's role remained ambiguous. Some insisted Camilla would intervene, urging reconciliation. Others believed she would remain silent, protecting herself. But her absence at Balmoral and retreat to Wiltshire suggested one truth. She was distancing herself from the fallout, leaving father and son to fight it out alone. Historians immediately drew parallels to the abdication of 1936, when Edward VIII chose love over duty, forcing Elizabeth's father onto the throne. This time, the crisis was not about marriage. It was about succession itself. A king with 6 months to live had confessed a plan that threatened nearly 1,000 years of tradition. The monarchy now faced the greatest internal threat in living memory. As September looms, one fact is clear. Catherine's collapse was not just a personal breakdown. It was a symptom of a monarchy cracking under betrayal, secrecy, and shifting loyalties. Whether the institution survives will depend not on Charles, but on William, and whether he chooses loyalty, rebellion, or reinvention.